Brianna Aguilera was a student at Texas A&M who visited Austin for the big game against the Longhorns. She went to a tailgate party all day and then returned to an apartment where she was staying with friends. But when her mom couldn't get a hold of her, her mom contacted Austin police. Then after some investigating, police told mom that Brianna was dead and had taken her own life by jumping out of an apartment and falling 17 stories. Austin police say they have spoken to Brianna's friends and gone through her cell phone, and they believe it is clear that Brianna took her own life. Today, mom and her lawyers spoke out, disputing the police findings, and tonight we will show you their evidence. Meanwhile, huge developments in the investigation into the death of 18-year-old Anna Kepner on a Carnival cruise. Her stepmom in court in a custody hearing involving Anna's step-siblings, including the stepbrother suspected in her death. Tonight, all the new details we are learning about what happened on that cruise ship and why Anna was sharing a cabin with her 16-year-old stepbrother. But first, college freshman Trinity Pogue is accused of murdering an 18-month-old infant boy in her dorm room. The little boy's name? J.D. And he was not her child, but was the son of her boyfriend, Jay Williams, who was out picking up a pizza when prosecutors say Trinity committed the crime. Tonight, all the evidence is in and the arguments have been made, and it's time to hear from the jury. I'm Vinny Politan. Thank you for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments. Great to have you with us. It's a verdict night. We're going to talk about the verdict. But let's begin by remembering this sweet 18-month-old boy named J.D. Let's take some time to remember him tonight. Lived such a short life and was 18 months when he died, which to me is a magical age for children. That's when they start growing into little people. Their personalities start to emerge. They start noticing things. They start putting thoughts and words together. They start asking questions about everything. It's a magical age. But J.D. did not live a magical life. Unfortunately for him, the mom who carried him and gave birth to him left him. Now, I don't know her circumstances. I don't know why she did it, but she left him with dad. And that's tough. That's tough. So dad becomes a single parent. And just like a mom, when you're a single parent, you have to be careful and you have to be wary of the people that you bring into your child's life. Just like a single mom has to be careful about who she dates and is always worried about that, and that's a real thing. Dads have to do that as well. Now, Jay Williams, who was J.D.'s dad, seemed like, again, I'm not there day in and day out, but it seemed like he did the right thing, right? I'm not giving my child up for adoption. I'm going to raise my son. He made a bad choice, though. And that bad choice was dating a woman named Trinity Poague, because Trinity was jealous of that little baby and the attention that he was getting from her boyfriend. How sick is that? Like, I get she's only 18, she's a college freshman. Doesn't matter. You're jealous of the attention a baby is getting? Then you have thoughts about that baby? Thoughts about harming an 18-month-old, wrapped in this jealousy because it's not my child. This child belonged to another woman that he dated, and my boyfriend spends time with his child, and it's just not spending enough attention. Break up. Break up. You're a beauty queen. Break up, walk away. Go find someone that doesn't have a child if you don't want a child around in your life. That's fine. That's a choice. But if you're going to make the choice to be there and be in the life of this man who's raising a child by himself, you need to step up. A single parent needs help. You cannot be an impediment between that parent being able to raise that child and take care of that child. You date that person, sorry, the child comes with the person. And for many people, that's a plus. For you, it wasn't. I get it. Just break up and walk away. You're the beauty pageant girl. Go find another date. Go swipe someone else. And let Jay and little JD go on their way. And find someone that has a heart. Someone who's a little more human. So the question for this trial was, what happened to JD? Right? Was this an accident? Was it dad who was responsible for the death? Or was it, like prosecutors said, Trinity? I almost said mom. She's the furthest thing from a mom. Was it Trinity, the girlfriend? So what you have to understand now as we get ready to watch this verdict, and I need to prepare you for this. It's in Georgia. The top count is called malice murder. Then there are subsequent charges, including felony murder. In the state of Georgia, like, malice murder sounds, I guess, worse than felony murder, but it's no worse, no better. It's the same thing. It's two different theories on how you convict someone of the most serious murder in Georgia. Count one, malice murder. Count two, it's going to be felony murder, and then there are more charges after that. As a matter of fact, I think there's two different theories for felony murder that are included there. So when you listen to the verdict, there's more than one count. I don't know what Trinity knew going in here. I don't know what her lawyers said to her. But watch her reaction as she hears the judge pretty quickly deliver this verdict. Let's watch.
The verdict reads as follows as to each count. On count one, it says, we, the jury, find the defendant not guilty. On counts 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, the verdict reads, we, the jury, find the defendant guilty of felony murder, 2 counts, aggravated battery, 2 counts, and cruelty to child in the first degree.
Do you want to watch that again? You probably do, right? Like, the first reaction is the reaction, like, and I've seen that before, where guilty people hear the words not guilty. Oh, I can't believe it. Oh, this is, oh, what? Oh, guilty? Oh, well, I forgot about those other counts. Just as serious. Yeah, and she got life. Felony murder, you get life in Georgia. The only issue is with or without the opportunity for parole. And the judge gave her a break. You know, she has an opportunity for parole in 30 years. Let's watch it one more time.
The verdict reads as follows as to each count. On count one, it says, we, the jury, find the defendant not guilty. On counts 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, the verdict reads, we, the jury, find the defendant guilty of felony murder, 2 counts, aggravated battery, 2 counts, and cruelty to child in the first degree.
All right, let's bring in our think tank. Joining us tonight, criminal defense attorney Josh Colesrud, along with former law enforcement officer, host of the Strong Enough podcast, Claudia King, and entertainment host Holland Reed. Great to see everyone tonight. Okay, I'm just going to ask one question. You guys go at it. Josh, you start. Was justice served today down in South Georgia?
Yes, it was. At least that's what the court would say. And I say it like that because, you know, the judge didn't have the opportunity really to enforce, let's say, the death penalty or life without the possibility of parole. So, you know, the prosecution got what they wanted, which was a conviction on 5 of the 6 counts. And even if she was found guilty on all counts, the judge still could have given her this sentence. So if I'm the family, you know, I mean, nobody is satisfied when they hear this verdict. I mean, nobody. This isn't going to make that family feel whole after such a brutal and senseless killing. But it is something. And hopefully the family can begin to pick up where they left off before this trial began and have some semblance of justice.
Vinny, I just want to start by saying thank you for playing that twice for us, because that was amazing and everybody, you know, deserved and wanted to see that. What I think she deserved, though, was the 20-year sentence to be consecutive with her life with the possibility of parole. I don't care that she was only 18 when this happened. She was an adult, and as you said, she could have just walked away. And instead, she took away this child and ruined this child's family.
I'm gonna bring up the rear here on 2 points. Number one, sweetheart, go take acting classes. That was tragic. You could have done better, and I mean, come on. I'm so glad you played that twice, Vinny. Thank you so much. And second, as a single mother and an only parent, do not play with the one thing that we have. I have one son. I have one heartbeat outside of my body that walks around on this earth, and your jealousy, go heal yourself before you can even understand what it's like to respect the idea of what it means to be a single parent or a single mother. So she got what she deserved, but she needs to go to acting class quickly.
Yeah, it was bad. All right, good news. Think Tank is staying with us the whole night. We've got some other big stories, huge developments we need to get to. New details involving the death of Anna Kepner on the Carnival cruise. There was a court hearing today where things came out and we learned a lot more about what was happening on that ship. We'll talk about that, plus coming up next hour. Tonight on Vinny Politan Investigates, a peaceful New Jersey mansion turned into a scene of unspeakable horror with a brother, his wife, and 2 young children found dead in flames. Investigators say the killings came first, the fire next, and a chilling motive: money and betrayal. Tonight, how did a family feud end in arson and murder, and who will pay for the lives lost? Tonight, we investigate.
The disappearance of mother Anna Walsh.
Her husband now charged with her murder.
All eyes on this accused killer.
Mr. Walsh was suspecting his wife of having an affair.
It's a massive trail of evidence.
This incredible timeline of Google searches.
It shows everything that was in his mind.
He searched how long before a body starts to smell.
The disappearance of Anna Walsh murder trial. Live coverage weekday mornings, 8, 7 Central on Court TV.
As the court is aware through the pleadings, there's a young lady who's passed away. That matter is still under investigation. That was not my client's child, but the stepchild of the mother in this case, and the remaining 16-year-old is now a suspect in that case.
Anna Kepner, 18-year-old high school senior from down in Central Florida, went on a Carnival cruise with her blended family. She ended up killed, and she died inside her cabin that she was sharing with her brother and her stepbrother. Stepbrother has been named as a suspect in her death. No one's been arrested yet, though. So this is a blended family. So before I show you what I want to show you from court today, I want you to understand how everyone is related to one another, because that's an important part of this story and this investigation. So we'll begin with Chris Kepner, okay? Chris Kepner was with a woman named Heather Wright. Chris and Heather had a daughter named Anna Kepner. That's the young woman who died on the cruise. Then Chris married his second wife, Tabitha. Tabitha and Chris had 2 children. Those 2 children are Anna's half-siblings, so they're blood relatives. Chris then got married for a 3rd time to Shauntel. Now, Shauntel had a previous marriage to a man named Thomas Hudson. Shauntel and Thomas had 3 children. Those 3 children are Anna's step-siblings, including the 16-year-old suspect in Anna's murder. So Shauntel and Thomas Hudson are in the midst of a custody battle in court, and Shauntel was testifying today. So I'm going to take you inside this hearing so you can hear Shauntel, Anna's stepmother, provide some information to the court in the custody battle with her ex. But what she's talking about is very important in understanding what happened on the Carnival cruise ship and how her stepdaughter was killed and how her son, her 16-year-old son, is in fact a suspect in that death. Let's take a listen.
As far as the minor children, what were the sleeping arrangements on this cruise?
Brooke was in my room with my husband and his 9-year-old daughter, and then shared a room with his stepsister and stepbrother. The room was directly across from ours.
What was the stepsister's name?
Anna Kepner.
And what was the stepbrother's name?
Connor Kepner.
And how old is Connor?
14.
And how old was Anna?
18.
Now, who made the decision to have these 3 teenagers in one room in the cruise?
We had talked it over with our travel agent, and that was what was suggested.
At some point, did you discover that one of the children had passed away?
Yes.
And when was that you discovered that?
Friday morning.
When was the last time that you'd seen the child before that Friday morning?
Thursday night.
You know approximately what time?
Right around 6:30.
And your child, did you see him that Thursday night as well?
Yes.
What time did you see him at?
Closer to 7. Just a little bit before 7.
And what was he doing at that time?
He was headed back to his room.
Do you know whether or not Connor was present in the room as well?
They all were headed back to their room, as far as I know.
Did you return to your room that evening?
Yes.
What time did you return to your room?
7 o'clock.
That Thursday evening on the cruise, had you been drinking at all?
No.
Had you drank it all during the cruise?
I had 2 pina coladas and a blue Hawaiian earlier in the week, but it wasn't on the same day. It was like 1 a day.
Do you know if the children, based on being in international waters, could drink alcohol?
No.
You don't know?
No, they didn't. They're not old enough.
What about Anna?
I don't know.
Weren't you aware that the children were gambling at some point?
Well, Anna's 18, so I know she was in there at one point in time, but the other kids were not.
You're sure that the other kids were not gambling?
I'm sure the other kids were not gambling.
As far as does he have any diagnoses?
He has ADHD.
And how long has he been diagnosed with ADHD?
About 3 or 4 years.
Those after your separation from Mr. Hudson, correct?
About that timeline, yes.
And does he receive medication for his ADHD?
He does.
And what medication was he on for his ADHD?
Methylphenidate.
How often would he take that medication?
Every morning.
Did he take the medication on the cruise with him?
Yes. He also takes a nighttime pill as well.
The same medication?
No, it's clonidine.
What is that for?
Insomnia.
Did you hold on to the medications?
Yes.
Did you make sure he took his medications every day?
He took his morning pill every day, and he missed 2 doses of his clonidine at night.
You held on to the clonidine as well?
Mm-hmm.
That's yes?
Yes, sorry.
And what do you mean he missed the doses? What happened there?
He went to bed before he got it. He was already asleep.
Including that Thursday night?
No, Thursday night he didn't get it. I had fell asleep before he did.
Anna, who we know passed away, she was 18, correct?
Correct.
And she was an adult?
Correct.
And was she given the option of staying in another room?
All three of the kids were.
Okay. And would that room have been with Grandma and Grandpa?
Correct.
And they didn't want to do that?
No, they wanted to stay together.
Did they all get along?
Yeah, the three of them are like the three amigos. They're best friends.
Okay. And with regard to Connor, I know you were questioned about him. He's not a suspect, or you haven't been advised by anyone?
Correct, he's not a suspect.
As far as you know, is the only suspect in the death of Anna your son?
Correct.
Let's bring back in our think tank on this one. Still with us, Josh Colesroot, Claudia King, Holland Reed. Okay, so this is stepmom. It's her testimony. Many of us, myself included, have questioned the decisions, the arrangements, and what was going on based upon things that we've heard from other people. Based upon what she's saying, though, they are the three amigos. They are best friends, and they wanted to all be in that cabin together. Claudia King, why don't you start off the conversation and tell us what you think now, based upon this latest developments, about how this happened, why this happened, and whether or not the parents share in any of the blame, not criminal liability necessarily, but in the blame for this situation that resulted in the death of Anna.
I think if we're letting our travel agent decide where our children are going to stay on the cruise, that's our first problem. You know, why is that person the one making this decision? And I understand the information that we're getting from stepmom here, but I don't think it jives necessarily with information that we have gotten from other people. So I don't know that she's being honest with us and with the court that she was in today. And I do think the parents share responsibility for Anna's death, because there's just no reason that an 18-year-old girl and a 16-year-old stepbrother should be staying in the same room together. And mom isn't even getting him his medication appropriately. She even said she fell asleep one night beforehand. So I think they definitely bear responsibility as well. This is a tragic situation for sure.
Go ahead, Holland.
Josh, go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry. So you know what? I'm just gonna plug in. I was trying to clear my camera out because it seemed a little blurry. But this is like blurred vision, actually in real time. Because who does this? Who actually puts their teenagers that are not related in a same room? I don't care if you're a blended family. This is not the Brady Bunch. This is not 1950 to 1960. And that you don't know what these children are thinking or doing. I don't care if you say you're the three amigos, but at the end of the day, I'm going to agree completely with Claudia. Is that I understand that it feels like a willy-nilly situation, but this is a young man that is hormonal, and three children that are hormonal, who are making really bad decisions all the time, much like my wiping this camera. So forgive me that I was trying to fix that on. That's all I have to say about that. This is bad all the way around, and I do not think for 1 second that this should be a situation you ever put your daughter or your young son in, period, end of conversation.
You know, as much as I respect both of my colleagues, and I respect them a lot, I disagree with them. You know, a murder like this, and we're just assuming that it is murder, really isn't foreseeable. Meaning that, you know, nobody expects that this beautiful young lady is going to be strangled to death because she's put into a living situation with supposedly two of her friends, her amigos. Now, we can question whether or not it's appropriate for a sexually active young girl to be with an unrelated, blood-related, sexually active young boy. But that's a different question. I mean, we're talking about a murder. And just because there was an opportunity for two people to be in that room doesn't mean that they're suspects. And Vinny, I want to just talk about one thing that you said in your monologue, that he's named a suspect. He has not been named a suspect by the FBI or any law enforcement agency. He's only been named a suspect in a family court by the victim's blood relatives because they're in a
and the judge.
Well, a judge in a family law dispute. That's not a criminal law judge, and the judge was commenting on something that's civil and not criminal. So I think we need to keep that in mind.
Okay, I'm sorry. Hey, Josh, really quick. Would you put your daughter in a room with any young men that were not related to them? They didn't marry. They were blended family. You can discuss it all you want. Blended family is one thing. You can get married to whoever you want. They didn't get married. They are still not related. That is high school students sleeping together in essentially dorm rooms on a cruise ship. Would you be okay with that?
So I don't think that death was foreseeable here. I don't think that asphyxiation by a third person was foreseeable in any way whatsoever. There's no evidence that the stepbrother wanted to physically harm his stepsister. There's no evidence that he wanted to kill her, at least not yet. You know, let's wait for the evidence and see where it takes us.
And we shall see.
If he did this.
Out of time for this segment. Everyone stay by. And I just want to make clear that there's no evidence that they were sexually active with one another or even sexually active in their lives, but they are definitely at the age of puberty and everything else that starts going through your body in those ages. And I think that was the intention. All right, when we come back, Breonna Aguilera, Texas A&M student, did she die by suicide or did something else happen?
A further review of Breonna's phone shows a deleted digital suicide note dated Tuesday, November 25th of this year, which was written to specific people in her life. From the moment this call originated up until now, between all of the witness statements, all of the video evidence, and all of the digital evidence collected, at no time did any evidence point to this being anything of a criminal nature. Rather, our investigation has revealed that unfortunately Breonna had made suicidal comments previously to friends back in October of this year. This continued through the evening of her death with some self-harming actions early in the evening and a text message to another friend indicating the thought of suicide.
There's Breonna Aguilera, just young student, 19 years old at Texas A&M, died after falling, and they're saying that she threw herself off a balcony 17 stories up to her own death. That's what the Austin PD is saying, but Breonna's mom is not buying it. And today, Tony Busby, the attorney for Breonna's family, spoke. And get ready, folks. You have your seatbelts on? Let's watch.
We refuse to believe that this young woman committed suicide. Why? Because she was not suicidal. Contrary to what has been sloppily reported, in many cases by a lot of the people here, she did not engage in self-harm. She had never tried to hurt herself before. So why are these groups of lawyers engaged in this? Because this family wants the truth. They're entitled to the truth. Clear to me, based on what this detective and the things that he said to Stephanie, it's clear to me that he had made a decision immediately about what his conclusion was and then went about trying to support it. The Austin Police Department formed a conclusion within hours of this tragedy that this was a suicide without any investigation. Do you realize that the autopsy has not been completed? Now, I want you to let that soak in for a minute. The autopsy has not been completed. The medical examiner's office told us that it will not be completed for 60 to 90 days, yet you had the so-called lead detective in front of millions of people saying that he had concluded that this was a suicide. Now, how unprofessional is that? The police department asked the medical examiner to do a toxicology report. We don't have the results of that toxicology report, yet this investigator stood in front of all of you and said that he had concluded this was a suicide, even though by law he doesn't have the authority to make that conclusion. Only the medical examiner has that authority. We don't have a toxicology report. We don't have a rape report. We don't have a cause of death, and none of those things, don't put that on top of that, none of those are conclusions that a police detective, a corporal, can make. He doesn't have the statutory authority to determine the cause of death. And I'm surprised that none of you even asked that question. He gave you an opportunity to ask questions. Not one of you said, hey, wait a minute, detective. When did the state of Texas give you the legislative authority to determine cause of death? The very first interaction she had with the detective from the Austin Police Department, he told her your daughter committed suicide. The very first reaction, the very first interaction. At that point, he hadn't talked to one witness, he hadn't seen her phone, he hadn't done anything. That's sloppy and irresponsible. He claims she made suicidal comments. He told us in the Zoom call she made suicidal comments. You know what he was talking about? The other day, when I was talking to a friend the other day, I said, man, you're going to make me jump off a bridge. That's what he's talking about. Silliness like that. He later claimed she was making those kinds of statements on the day of the night that she died. If that's the case, why did her friends leave her out on the balcony by herself? The detective was talking about suicide before he was ever given her phone. Then he gets into her phone and he sees an essay that she wrote and he calls it a suicide note. She took creative writing the semester before. I don't know what the purpose of that. We'll never know what the purpose of what she wrote and deleted. But this is the suggestion was that she left a quote suicide note. Total malarkey. Am I suggesting that there's some kind of conspiracy? No, I'm suggesting they're lazy and they're incompetent. We sent someone to the apartment. We had someone take the dimensions of the apartment. We had somebody measure the railing and the height of the railing. We know how tall Brianna was. She was 5'2". The railing's 44 inches. You don't fall over it. There's no furniture out in the balcony. There's nothing to climb up on, to jump off. Anyone that's on that little balcony, it's literally as big as this. It's a little bitty old balcony, and there's a window just like that you could see onto the balcony. Things that you would say, wait a minute, you're saying that this young lady was out on the balcony and she was 5'2", she had to somehow climb over the railing to try to kill herself? Then certainly you guys could see that. Certainly you knew that was happening. How could that possibly be? It doesn't make any sense because it didn't happen that way. Tailgate at the Austin Rugby Club. There was an altercation between her and another female. No investigation of that. Turns out that other female was in the apartment with her that night. Young man posted on TikTok that he could hear up above at around the 17th floor in that general area fighting, screaming. Somebody saying, "Get off of me!" And then a muffled sound. He posted it, got many, many views. You can get on TikTok and look at it now. We talked to him this morning. And guess what? Here's the irony. Or maybe here's the tragedy. The police didn't bother to talk to him. They failed to look into the anonymous message that was sent. There was an anonymous message that was posted that said, hey, I have specific information that this young lady was locked out on the balcony. Did you know that? It's not part of the investigation. At first we were told that she jumped from the balcony, and the three ladies, the three young women that were in the apartment, and we're talking about, as I said, a tiny little apartment, were asleep and didn't know where she was. That's what we were told first. That they were asleep, they didn't even know she was on the balcony, they didn't know where she was, and that's the reason why they didn't call the police until 12:15 the next day. Brianna did not have her phone. She didn't have her phone, so she had to call to make a call. According to the police, she borrowed her friend's phone, meaning one of the three women that was in the apartment. Now look at this very carefully. According to the police, she borrowed her friend's phone and made a call from 12:43 and it lasted 1 minute. At 12:46, 2 minutes later, the police were responding to a 911 call because she was outside on the ground. Now do the math. So you probably think, well, she must have, she hung up her friend's phone and she just jumped. She hung up the phone and she dropped it on the balcony and she jumped. First question you should have is, where is the phone? What did she do with the phone? I asked the police that 3 different times. 3 times. They sidestepped me every time until this morning. They sidestepped me because they hadn't thought about it, because they rushed to judgment. They finally answered the question this morning. And you know what they said to me this morning? And they said it, and they didn't even realize what they were telling me because they're so sloppy. I made them put it in writing. I have it here. I'll read it to you. Austin Police Department did not find the phone on Miss Aguilera. Miss Aguilera returned the phone to its owner before she was seen going onto the balcony. Now, how is that possible? That is 180 degrees different than what you told us previous. That is absolutely contrary to what you told us previous. Previous, you said the 3 women were asleep. You said they didn't know where she went. But then when I asked the one question over and over, and you had to answer it, then all of a sudden we realized, if she did in fact use her friend's phone, like they claim, if she did in fact use it for 1 minute and was found already 2 minutes later by a passerby and the police were already responding to a 911 call, think about that, what the ramifications of that are. That whoever phone she was using was standing right next to her as she went over the balcony, if she went over the balcony.
Houston, do we have a problem in Austin? Let's bring back in our think tank, Josh Colesrud, Claudia King, Holland Reed. Holland, why don't you start us off?
Thank you, Vinny. So first of all of this sounds so sketch. It's the sweep under the rug, the culture of let's just get rid of it. Let's just deal with it and just shoo the parents off, the family off. We don't want the attention. We don't want anything. The culture of tailgating is what it is. You're gonna be probably intoxicated at some point, have a good time, but this smells so funny. And I am only hoping that that lawyer, that person that is representing the family continues to have that passion to continue on the investigation, because that is what's needed in this case. This does not make sense in any way whatsoever. Nothing is adding up. And all I can say is this young woman right here deserves justice. I was taking notes while we were watching that because I'm just like, it's not making sense. None of it makes sense. None of it makes sense. And so I'm hoping that she gets her justice, but I'm so sick of institutions quickly wanting to sweep things under the rug just to not deal with the publicity.
So I want to break in here just for a second. I think that the family's attorney in this case is earning his paycheck. Vinny, let's follow the facts, right? We know that the victim in this case, that she told her friends on multiple occasions in October that she was having suicidal thoughts. So this wasn't a one-off incident in terms of her expressing some type of idea that she wanted to do this to herself. She also wrote a note that supposedly expressed the reasons why she wanted to commit suicide on her phone. And there were no defensive wounds found on her body or any signs that she had a struggle. So if you're the Austin Police Department, you're looking for motive, you're looking for opportunity, and you're just not seeing it. But what you do know was that she was heavily drinking, that she obviously was disturbed because she was thinking about self-harm, and she ended up doing what she said she was going to do. I don't think it's unreasonable to come to that conclusion. Now, if the autopsy comes out and says something different, there's no reason why they couldn't open the investigation after that. But until then, I think that they're not coming to an unreasonable conclusion.
I totally agree with you, Josh, and I do feel for her family, and I think sometimes it's very, very difficult for a family to believe that their family member would commit suicide, and they want to believe anything else would be possible. You know, this attorney brought up a lot of different questions, but what he also didn't bring was proof. He threw a bunch of allegations, but where is his proof of these things? We didn't see that either. So until we see friends that weren't interviewed, as he claimed at one point, or until we see that the TikTok person really heard what he heard and it directly correlates to the time of her death, we don't really have anything other than people really hoping that their loved one didn't do what likely happened.
Big thanks tonight. We're out of time. Josh Colesrud, Claudia King, Holland Reed, great to have you. We'll see you again. Enjoy the weekend. When we come back, folks, I will reveal something else you need to know tonight.
Join Court TV's Vinnie Politan with the latest and breaking true crime stories.
Now, let's look at the other side of all of that.
Vinnie Politan Investigates. Tonight, 9/8 Central, only on Court TV. Next week.
A true crime case playing out in the courtroom. Did Brian Walsh murder his wife? We'll preview each day as the legal drama unfolds.
Opening statements with Julie Grant. Mornings at 8/7 Central on Court TV.
Time to reveal something else you need to know tonight. Let's take a look at the big board and what we have for you tonight. Wants out of the cell block. We're talking, of course, about the Idaho 4 killer. Take a look at this statement from our friend Chris McDonough, who's been doing some investigating on this. He wants out of that J block real bad because other inmates are taunting him. Now the killer has turned that into a foundation to use vague threats about harming himself in an attempt to get out of the situation in the J block. He's playing these mental games, but that is the killer. He's not liked by all the inmates and was a surprise to him that he entered the dock. That's not the way to start off 4 life sentences. Should have pleaded to death. He'd be all by himself on death row. All right, folks, take a look at your screens. We have a missing child who needs your help tonight. Take a look. We've got Maya Utley is the name of our missing child tonight. Just 15 years old, missing from Lumberton, North Carolina. If you see LaMaya, pick up the phone, make a call, 911, 1-800-THE-LOST, or the Lumberton Police Department in North Carolina. Let's see if we can get LaMaya to a safe place tonight. Don't go anywhere. We have another hour of live true crime. Vinnie Politan Investigates is next. In the meantime, please don't forget to hug the kids.